mean, we don't fight. I mean, we've had, the arguments that we've had, you probably count on both hands, maybe three hands.
Welcome to Banking on the Banks. I'm so excited to be here with you. My name is Gloria Mayfield Banks, and this is my phenomenal, lovely husband. Ken, introduce yourself.
Well, thank you. When I get called phenomenal by my wife, it's not often, right? So I like that. I like the fact that she's calling me phenomenal now. So this is really great. My name is Ken Banks. We are so excited to begin this journey, this podcast journey. And so welcome.
We have a full life. I mean, it is so crazy.
So full. Packed, so damn full.
So packed. We just came back from a fabulous wedding this weekend. It was amazing. And we met somebody that Ken works with in Dubai, and then he came over here. I love their love story, but it was a phenomenal wedding, wasn't it?
It was absolutely phenomenal. I mean, they had the wedding, they had a boat ride after the wedding, the reception, at the dock, at the pier, after the boat ride. And then you had maybe an hour if you wanted to change or whatever, went to another location and partied all night. So, I mean, it was fabulous,
Okay, but I love the love story. So this guy works in Dubai, and he was finished with his work in Dubai, and he was coming home. And when he landed in New York, he called his friend. You know how you call your friend. So he called his friend. His friend said, "I'm at this fabulous party. Just drop your bags and come over." He dropped his bag, went to this fabulous party, met his wife at the party. Oh my gosh, I love a love story. They fell in love, they got married. We were up there in Gloucester, Massachusetts. But the deal was, my bags didn't make it. We were an hour from the airport.
Because why? We're only going for 2 days, right? We're only going for 2 days. But she got to carry, she had to check a bag. I said, don't check a bag. Now, it's kind of amazing because we didn't have a stop in between. We went from Baltimore, BWI, to Logan and Boston, and you would think that they'd be able to get that right. But no. We get there, wheel goes around, that turn wheel goes around. We're waiting. Everybody got their bag. Everybody's going. Her bag didn't come.
Yeah, but see, this is the problem. This is such a big problem. It wouldn't be such a problem any other time of the year, but because we're leaving to go away for 28 days, he wants me to do carry-on. Carry-on for 28 days. I know all my girlfriends are over there like, what? Now, some of you girlfriends are like, oh, I could do it, but you're not my girlfriend. Okay, the ones that understand me are like, she cannot pack for 28 days. So I've been pleading that I can have at least one check bag. He said yes.
I did say yes because, otherwise you hear all this yakety yak. But sometimes you say, all right, just go ahead and do it. No. So we're compromising on that, and it's not going to be bad. But 28 days, you don't want to carry a whole lot of luggage with you. We haven't even talked about that. We just talked about the wedding. I mean, but prior to the wedding, we were in Dallas for a week,
yes,
celebrating, basically your graduation from Mary Kay Cosmetics after a 33-year career.
Yes.
And being number one in the company for 6 years in a row. For the last 6 years, Gloria has been number one in the world in Mary Kay Cosmetics. And so
we went there. We had a really good time. It was fun to be with him, fun to be with the family. Both our daughters both earned pink Cadillacs. Mm-hmm. So we had a lot to celebrate. It was a great time. But it was busy. It was busy. And before that, we were in Martha's Vineyard
with the 5 grandchildren. I like to say 4 grandchildren and 1 Tasmanian devil. 1 Tasmanian devil, the little
grandchildren.
He's
They're
mad.
So sweet.
That boy is something else. But anyway, so we had a great time with them over the 5. Now, here's something that I probably shouldn't bring up, but I'm gonna bring it up anyway. I'm gonna bring it up. So, the 5 kids come to the house in Maryland
area. Mm-hmm.
But I'm doing business in Europe. So I'm in Brussels, I'm in Paris, I'm in Barcelona. And then so the kids were here and I was still in Europe. And so Gloria drove from here with the kids to Martha's Vineyard, which is about 8 hours, something like that. And she gets to Martha's Vineyard. But did I come that day? I came that day, yeah. So, I flew into Logan.
You flew into, yeah.
Yeah, JFK, doesn't matter where I flew. I flew into something, took another plane and flew into Martha's Vineyard. And then she picked me up and she said, something's wrong with this, situation. Something's wrong with this. But anyway, we've had a heck of a summer.
No. Don't forget that part, because the plan was
trying to move on.
he was going to drive back with us. But for some reason, he couldn't fit all his things and his one luggage in the car. So he flew back, and I drove back.
Whose fault was
11
that?
hours
Whose
back.
fault was that? Because she packed the car so completely full. That's why I tell you, she cannot, we got grandchildren and her. It's a huge car, right? But there was so much luggage. They had 2 extra seats, so much luggage. Both extra seats were filled. All the luggage. They could barely make the luggage in the car. And so when I get there, I'm taking 1 seat and 1 additional seat, right? Plus my luggage. There's no room. Why do you have to bring so much stuff? Why do you have to pack the house to go for a couple of weeks? I don't understand. To a beach. You just, But anyway, so that's what happened.
The reason that we are their favorite couple is because of the reality is he always blames everything on me.
Yes.
And I know you guys can all relate to him blaming everything on me. But I'm good with it.
It only works when she does what I say.
I'm good with it. So now we're getting ready to take off again.
We're going to take off again. We're going to Southeast Asia for 26 days, I think it is. And 5 countries in 26 days. And so it's going to be amazing. Song,
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday
to you. This is Ken's birthday present.
Well, no. See, that's a misrepresentation. So it started out as a birthday present, right? I did a birthday party in Baltimore. This is even before that. So I did a big 70th birthday party for myself, had rented out the top floor of the World Trade Center in Baltimore, right?
Fabulous.
Had about 170 of my best friends in town in Baltimore celebrating. We had a singer, we had DJs, we had people doing the photography with a fabulous food. Everybody loved the food.
Yeah,
everybody loved the food, and so it was one of those magical evenings that was and everybody was like super well dressed. It was just one of those magical evenings. So, but Gloria said, you know what, I'm gonna your birthday present's going to be a trip to Bali.
Yes.
And I said, a trip to Bali? I must be doing something right. My boys come up to me, they're saying, man, she giving you a trip to Bali? What the hell you doing? Why is she with you anyway? I said, man, you don't know, man. You don't know what I got to do, what I do.
Oh, please,
you don't know what I do, man. I must have some skills. That's what I talked to him about. But anyway, so we did that. We're going to back to Bali, right? But then I said, you know what? I'm looking at that part of the world, and I'm saying, we could really stop in Japan or Korea, Vietnam or Singapore, around that area, Dubai. And so that's what happened. So we added to Bali.
He added
Dubai and Vietnam, Korea, and Singapore. And so that's going to be the
misrepresentation.
That was misrepresentation.
Oh,
so she gets that portion, that Bali portion, but I have to support the other portion, the other 4 countries, whatever.
But you guys, it's going to be such an amazing trip. We've talked to so many people who are so excited about us going because they've never gone and they've never even thought to go. And then there's a couple people who've said exactly what we should go, what we should do when we go because they loved it, absolutely loved it. So we're very excited about this.
We love traveling. We just love traveling around. We've been to a number of countries around the world in the years that we've been together. We've been together, by the way, for 32 years.
Yeah.
32 years. 32 years in August 27th. So just a few days, we're going to be 32 years. That's our celebration coming up.
And we will celebrate 26 years of marriage while we're in Bali.
And you will celebrate a birthday.
And my birthday. Celebrating his birthday.
Right.
In Bali.
Somehow. You know what I mean?
That's why we're your favorite couple, because we're banking on the banks.
Banking on the banks. There you go. So that's been our summer. That's our near future going on, and we're just celebrating life. I retired a few years ago, sort of, not.
He had failed at retirement. Like, how many times did you fail at retirement? 3
or 4 times. So now I'm doing global financial work. Some going all over, doing that, and that's been good, and that's been a great.
It's been phenomenal. It's been really phenomenal because he's really captured this dream. This is an example of having a vision and really working towards it.
Right.
And not being afraid to change.
Not being afraid to change.
And being one to serve on a global level. So it's exciting to have the adventure. Because even when we were talking about packing yesterday, he says, well, I might have a business meeting here and there. I'm like, I thought this was a vacation. I got a couple meetings I got to do. So it's going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. Okay, so the question of the day is, what should you look for in a partner? What would you look for in a partner if you were looking for a partner?
Which I am not looking for a partner. But if I was looking for a partner, you want somebody who's similar in your spirit, who's similar in your vibration, who does the kinds of things, is interested in the kinds of things you might be interested in. I mean, not totally, but there's got to be some sort of similarity. And so, and you're not trying to force things together.
Yeah.
So, for instance, when we met, I was engaged. The first thing that engaged me about Gloria was her magnificent smile. She's got a great smile, and so when I saw that smile, that kind of engaged me. And then she, of course, you want somebody who's attractive to you. Right? Now, it doesn't have to be, I don't know what attractive is. I'm not going to say but Gloria was attractive to me. I thought she was absolutely gorgeous. And so that attracted me. And then so that conversation. Then you have to find out, beyond the initial attraction, what the person's about. What are their core, what's their core? What's their default? Are they forcing being happy, or are they a happy person? Are they happy inside? It's a difference. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So and are they a loving and trusting person? I found out Gloria was a loving and trusting person when we first met. The first day we met, let me tell you the story. And so we met at a place called Wet and Wild in Florida. And it's a water park. And so we were there, and I knew we were talking, and we were sitting and talking, just we just kind of met, just kind of grooving, getting to know a little bit about each other. And I said to her, I wanted to get one of those little lockers, little lockers that big, at these parks when you can put your little stuff in, you take a key. And so I said, I'm going to go to the locker, and I said, Gloria, and I said this as a courtesy. Do you have anything that you would like for me to put into the locker? Now, this is back in 1990, right? She hands me her purse with all her money, her car keys, the plane tickets when you actually had to have tickets. I mean, she just hands me her life right there, And I looked at her and I said, she don't know me. I could just go and just walk out the park with this thing. She don't really know that, but I put it in the locker, I lock it up. And I just start shaking my head. Like,
okay, but you know when you know when you know. And I knew. I didn't necessarily know, but I knew. I felt it. You talked about when you feel the person, when you see. I can tell you the second I saw Ken. And this is not normally my deal. But I saw him in a pair of orange swim trunks. And he was checking into the park. And I was driving in the rent-a-car. And I looked over and I said to myself, didn't say it out loud, but I said to myself, ooh, he is so attractive. For me, I know I look for confidence. I know I look for a powerful man. I know I look for a decision maker. I know I look for someone who's ambitious. I know I look for someone who has a very similar energy. And I know I love people who make me laugh. And you did all of that in like 30 seconds. It was like
we got to talk about that, How did that happen?
It was really, really clear. And so when I think about what I looked for without knowing I was looking for, because we weren't looking for
right. We weren't looking for, in fact, one of the first things I said in this together was, we're gonna have a great time, whatever. But I'm not getting married again. I'm just letting.
It wasn't no whatever. It was, hi, my name is Ken, and I'm never getting married again. That's what it was. And I'm serious, y'all. In the first 15 minutes, it's like, hi, my name is Ken, and I'm never getting married again.
Never get married again.
And I said, well, I advise you not to talk to me because you're going to fall in love with me if you do talk to me, and I'm getting married in 5 years.
Right.
So we got married in
6 years. 6 years, because I wasn't going to do it in 5 years. I just wasn't going to do it in 5 years. But
he was decisive. You see, when he said what he said, he was confident. He was decisive. He was in control of the conversation. And I appreciated that. I always say to him, all the time and over again. It takes a strong man to lift a strong woman.
The other thing I loved about Gloria was that she had a vision for herself. She had a vision about where she was going. She just wasn't, she was happy in what she was doing, and she had a vision for where she was going. And all those years, so the 30 years plus that I've been with her, she's created this vision for herself, and she's achieved her vision. And that's a powerful thing when you can find people who have that spirit within them, who want to achieve, who want to do more, who don't want to just sit home and, watch TV all day long. She wants to go out. She wants to get it done. She wants to make it happen. And that's what I really appreciated about her.
And I think that's where our values really lock in. Mm-hmm. Because when I first met Ken, he started talking about what he wanted to do. He started talking about, and not just what he wanted to do, he was talking to me about how he wanted to serve the world, how he wanted to do a school for young boys, how he wanted to work on an international basis, how he wanted to live in another country. I mean, he was talking about all this like in our first conversation. And those first conversations that we had, we talked till 4 o'clock in the morning. I mean, remember the ants were biting us and we were still talking. But we were still talking and we were still laughing. And we first had our first meal together. Talk about trust. He told me all about his life. I told him all about my life. Remember, we were not looking for a relationship, but it gelled so strong. But I also say that we are opposites in many ways. And so sometimes we talk about opposites attract. And we love that piece of it because it really does balance each other out. And
you got to be comfortable with those opposites,
Yes,
so the opposites kind of, So what are our opposites? Talk about our opposites.
Well, I like to check a bag and you like carry on. I like to trust, opposite, right. And he does not.
Don't trust, No. I mean, I trust, but I trust Gloria and I trust people, but there's, just walking up to people, no.
Way better at money management. It's who he is. It's what he does. It's what I admire about him a lot. And so it's not surprising that he just left the position of chairman of the board of the Federal Reserve. It's not surprising that he would laugh like that when I say stuff like that because of who he has become and what he has taken us through. Boy. That makes a difference. And you know what?
Yeah.
The other thing that has been big is our family. And how we've grown in our family, how we've blended our family, which was huge.
And I want to say that, and this is part of, you also want to have somebody who brings you along in a certain aspect, who can help you in certain, there's no sense in being together if you don't offer anything to each other, right? And so what Gloria has clearly offered to me was her she came from a family structure that was very strong, very solid, and I came from a family structure that wasn't as strong, wasn't as solid. My father was an alcoholic. There was, there was a lot of things going on, and it just wasn't the same kind of, family upbringing that I had. And so when we got together, we each have two children. We each had 2 children when we got together, so we share 4 children, but Gloria's the one that really pushes the whole family. She wants to be so inclusive. She wants to pull everybody together, and it's something that I wasn't used to, something that I hadn't seen. And so she's brought me along. So every year, we have the grandkids at least once, probably twice a year. We have a huge Thanksgiving, which is almost like a family reunion because it lasts a week or more. People come in the Monday before Thanksgiving and they leave like the Thursday after Thanksgiving. Everybody stays here at the house. We have about 40 people come in and about 30 of them just live, that's right in the house. Kids everywhere, and it's so much fun. People are up all night long. You can't get any sleep at any time. I don't care if it's 4:30 in the morning. People are laughing and playing cards, whatever they're going to do. We have a grand time. But Gloria's the one who brings the energy, brings that, the demand that everybody gets together, and everybody loves it, from the babies and to the older folks. My mother is here. She's 92 years old. Yeah. She loves it. Everybody loves it. So
so it really does make a difference. But your point, which was well taken, which is people who bring you along, people who show you another way, people who help you see things differently. And Ken, I will tell you that I've loved travel, but his level of traveling has taken me to a whole nother level. And what I mean by that is what you see and how you look at it and how you venture with it. I cannot wait to go on this trip because what he sees, And the way he sees it and the way he explains it to me takes me to a whole nother place in my perception of what you can gain from traveling. So I absolutely love that we can operate in each other's world, that we can navigate each other's world,
Right.
and that we're comfortable if we can't make it. One of the things I've loved about him is that he's given me the freedom to be where I need to be, and he has the freedom to be where he needs to be all the time without any guilt. Also, what I've loved, can we just say this? Because I think this is understated. When you walk into the room, what I have loved about Ken is that I never have to worry if he's handling himself. I never look over there to see if he's having a good time. I never have to look over there and wonder if he is uncomfortable in the situation. He not only walks into the room and is comfortable in the situation, but he's very purposeful in making sure that everyone in that room is comfortable in the situation. And I just want to tell you that that has been such the biggest releases for me, that you just love to make everyone feel phenomenal.
One of the other things that I think is critically important, and it's been our journey for the length of time we've been together, is that we don't argue. I mean, we don't fight. I mean, we've had, the arguments that we've had, you probably count on both hands, maybe three hands. But very rarely do we, we have disagreements, but we don't, it's like we usually negotiate them or, just talk about it or laugh about it and say, but we don't put energy behind anything. We don't put energy behind, so many things.
It's a discussion.
It's a discussion.
It's a conversation.
Right.
And it's based in respect.
Right.
So if you choose to love someone, then the way you treat them, even when you're upset or there's a misunderstanding, it matters.
Right.
It really matters.
Right. And we don't put each other down.
Unless he's joking.
See that? Yeah, unless I'm joking.
And he's a real good jokester.
But we don't do that. We don't purposely, we're not trying to diminish one another.
Right.
I see so many couples that try to diminish one another in, whether in public even, or but even behind doors, people are talking about, this and that. I mean, I tell Gloria, I've never spoken negatively about you outside of this relationship. I don't do that. Why? Yeah, I don't, I don't understand that, but I know a lot of people do. And I think it's somewhat unfortunate, but we don't do that. We kind of, we support and try to lift one another instead of diminishing one another. So I'm thinking in terms of, if I were to give advice, I would say that's one of the things that I would make sure that whatever the relationship is, that is solid and it's supportive,
and it's a commitment to
and it's
the
a
journey.
giving relationship.
I really do believe that people who have a long-term relationship, it's not always smooth, it's not always right, it's not always comfortable, it's not always easy, but because of the level of commitment and the depth of the faith which supports that relationship and that commitment, really will make you ride the hills and the valleys over the long term. And I think that's what we've done.
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Awesome.
Hey, boom.
Your favorite couple. Benjamin the Bucks. So one of the questions is, what are some of the keys to success of becoming an entrepreneur? And I know that
Good question.
Definitely different layers to it, different components to it. The one I want to bring up first is, how do you master going from an employee to an entrepreneurship? Because a lot of people get so caught up in the dream of being an entrepreneur, but they get so nailed down in the environment of employeeship that they can't make that move. And first thing I want to say to you is that you have to think differently. It is a mindset. You have to think differently when you're an entrepreneur than when you're an employee. So you have to be able to take the risk, but it's a planned risk. You have to decide on yourself whether you can just jump out there, bam, I'm an entrepreneur, or like me, I had to work my other job for a significant amount of time as I built my entrepreneurship, because it wasn't a situation where I could just leave. So my theory has always been, or something I've always said, my slogan has always been, I can do anything for a short period of time, as long as I don't have to do it for the rest of my life. So it was hard to do a full-time job and build the entrepreneurial business until the entrepreneurial income surpassed where I was making on my job, because I was in the midst of divorce and I had 2 young children. I was becoming a single parent, and that was my thing. So, I want to tell you that you have to learn to think differently, and you have to decide where you're going to sacrifice.
I think that's great. Being an entrepreneur is, I'll say it's no joke. I'll say it's not for the faint of heart.
Yeah.
There's a lot of things, and I remember when I first became an entrepreneur, I was working 18-hour days, 7 days a week for months in a row. I mean, I for the first 5, 6, 7 years, I was just nose to the grindstone and really and just working and so if you don't know, I owned a commercial construction company for almost 40 years and a real estate
very successful one, I must say. And I must say that as a wife, it was so cool to drive through the city and see his name on the billboards. I just have to say.
We've got involved in some very big projects. Some of the projects were the Hilton Hotel in Baltimore, the new clinical building at Johns Hopkins, a huge $600 million project, sports arenas, et cetera, et cetera. So we wound up, the first years were not that, believe me, and then you move on and you develop skills and you develop, techniques. But that you have to be dedicated, I think, in terms of being an entrepreneur. It's not for the faint of heart, and it's not for those who want, the stability of knowing when that check is going to come in from a job. But it goes to those people who are just desirous of seeing what they can do in the marketplace, seeing what their skills are, seeing if they can, because when you're an entrepreneur, you are you're the final say. You have nobody to complain to. No, you got no boss. Right. You are the boss, right? And so you do it, you make it or you don't make it on your own. And so I think that's the advantage. I think, as Captain Kirk would say, there's nothing like sitting in the captain's chair, right? But this is I think if you have the mindset, if you have the willingness and the knowledge, and it's something that you always have to keep reading about, always have to, you have to have certain knowledges. You have to have some knowledge in taxes. You have to have some knowledge in insurance and risk aversion. You have to have some knowledge in human resources. You have to have some legal knowledge. You have to have regulatory knowledge. I mean, there's a lot of different things that being an entrepreneur is. You don't have to be a lawyer, but you have to have some skills to understand what needs a lawyer and what doesn't, and be able to understand the process. We got very involved in doing joint venture projects, and that was a very not litigious, but a very legal heavy sort of, information. They had to merge two companies that becomes one company, and you take that one company and you do specific projects. That is, somewhat difficult, but that skill has developed into other things, globally now. But being an entrepreneur, I think, is what is it? What would you say? What kind of personality would you need to have to be an entrepreneur?
I think that there's a lot of different personalities that fall into being an entrepreneurship.
And I want to say that Gloria has particular expertise in developing women to become entrepreneurs. I'm an entrepreneur myself, but I don't necessarily develop other people to become entrepreneurs. But Gloria, this is her expertise.
Thank you, honey.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I want to answer your question about the personalities, because I think that's a really important question, because I think that when people look at role models, they see this person and that person and this person and that person, they get confused and they don't do anything, and a confused mind does nothing. And we are both entrepreneurs, but we're very different entrepreneurs. Ken can handle the details. He's just great at the details. I can handle the people. I'm just great at the people. But I will tell you what I've watched from him, and I've learned from him, and I've learned from many other very successful entrepreneurs, is who's in the room? Who's in the room with you? If you're the biggest thinker in the room all the time, you're never going to change. You're never going to be pushing yourself beyond the point. And so Ken and I used to go to different events, and he would watch the room and who's in the room. And because everybody that's in your space is going to impact you, either going to take you up or take you down. No one is going to leave you exactly the same way that you walked into the room. So if you're becoming an entrepreneur, or if you want to take your business to yet another level, look around and see who's in the room, and be intentional about placing yourself where you're going to be shifted. Because once you can be shifted, you're going to think bigger. And I remember you shifting from a construction owner of a construction company to a massive real estate developer. And I remember you placing yourself in different conversations, going to lunch on a consistent basis. Remember that? Lunch on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. He was taking people to lunch, and he was learning, and he was getting in the room. So getting in the room so that you can not just rely on your own vision, but other people around you will create a vision for you to grasp hold of. Because having role models and mentors in front of you can be a very masterful piece of moving your business forward.
One of the things I did as an entrepreneur was I had a board of advisors.
Yeah.
And I put a board of advisors together in Baltimore that was second to none. I had stellar. I had
Stellar.
one billionaire on the board. I had one man who was the head of, another real estate development business. Another man was head of an investment firm, a multi-billion-dollar investment firm. I mean, this was an incredible board. People were like, "How did you do that? How did you put that together?" But so many people had. One of the things that I had in business was trust and respect. I always did what I said I was going to do, and I think that's a critical component.
Right.
Because we've seen businesses where people come in and they want to take your money and they don't want to do the work. And so one of the things that I developed the trust and respect of the business community in the Baltimore, Washington area, and that to me is worth anything. I can go. I don't have.
Right.
You don't want to be in business and have to look over your shoulder, right? Because you didn't pay somebody, you didn't do this to somebody.
Right.
You want to walk with your head held high, and so I was never concerned about the money as much as I was concerned about the work we needed to do and the honesty that we could give to the project and the best we could probably do for our clients. One other thing about business is you want to treat your clients like gold.
Right.
So much easier. It is so much easier to retain clients than to get a new client, especially in my work, but almost in any field.
That's right.
Don't treat your clients like gold. Make sure that they are happy, that they are satisfied in the work that you. In fact, I love the term, under promise, over deliver.
Right.
And so when you deliver more than the person expects, then that's really great.
Treat your team like they're gold. In other words, treat everybody big. And it comes back to you. The way you put things out is the way things come back. So if you treat a client great, they not only stay with you, they bring you more great clients. If you teach and treat your team great, it will grow in the direction of your vision. They'll be excited to participate in where you're going. They'll want to come up with new creative ideas that take you places that you would not even thought about. But because you've treated them the way they deserve and more, they bring you that and more. And it makes such a big difference. Because if you don't have a great support team, if you don't think about the growth, if you don't think about the people that are participating in the vision of where you're going, no one's going to go with you. Not a client, not your team, not the money, not the vision, not the results.
And you mentioned vision a lot. You mentioned vision 4 times in that last statement. And vision is critically important. Vision is the mission statement of your company. Right. And so everybody in your company, whether it's one person or 100 or 1,000, they need to know and understand the vision. They have to buy into the vision, your vision of where you want to go, where you want the company to go, what you're going to give to your clients. You have to be clear. There has to be a very sharp understanding of what your vision is, and everybody has to buy in to the vision, or they can't be a part of the team. The team moves as one, and when somebody wants to go this left or to the right, that's not the team. They can't be on the team. You got to have these people on the team that are moving forward in the direction that you want to go into. I remember, so we need to talk about when I took over the Grand Prix.
Oh my goodness!
In Baltimore, you're talking about it. That several entrepreneurs in Baltimore that decided to bring the Baltimore Grand Prix to the city of Baltimore, which is a race in the city. So you got to really shut down the city.
Yes.
Yeah, you got to build all these barriers with fences and grandstands and stands and these walkways over the track. Several areas so people can get inside the track and outside the track.
And business has to keep going while you're doing all this.
There's hotels, there's restaurants inside the perimeter,
yep.
And then outside the perimeter, and everything is changed. You're doing the streets. You gotta get the streets super smooth. So you got these contractors in that are sanding down the streets,
right,
to make them super flat for the race cars. And so so these guys had this great vision and raised money to bring it to Baltimore. But what happened was they weren't very, very good business people. And so they started to fail in getting this. And so they asked me to take over the race about 3 months prior to the race day. They asked me to take it over, and that was a total. You're talking about, because I thought about that because you're talking about a team. They have 40 people that were working for the company, and so I don't know any of them, right? I don't know any of these people, but I had to sit down and talk to each one of those 40 people. I said, what is your name? And what do you do here, right? And what do you do? And what's the progress of what you're doing? And let me see what that is. And so it's what needs to be done. And are you on schedule or not on schedule? And so I had to fire about half of the team because they weren't getting things done. They was walking around doing nothing. And so half of that, I had to fire the race director. The race director, the man who ran the race. And so I don't know anything about racing, right? I don't know anything about racing, but I know that the race director wasn't getting it done. So I had to fire the race director, find another race director, come in and pay him a ton of money, but had to get somebody to come in to get it done because it had to be done. There's no option. There's a time when it has to be done. Everything has to be finished on a certain time. The team has to move together, and I got, the team was phenomenal. We worked constantly, consistently. I even stayed in the city of Baltimore at one of the downtown hotels for the final 30 days. Gloria would come and bring me my couple of shirts, a couple of pants. I couldn't go home. I could not go home. I had to be there. We would work till 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. I sometimes I walk back to the hotel and I see that the office, the lights were still on. People were still working at 3 or 4 o'clock in the morning. We were up, continually making sure that this race. So the team was together. I had to get the team to pull together. We had one mission. The mission was to get the cars running in the same direction on race day. That's the mission. But that took thousands of different things. That took security. That took the healthcare the providers to make sure that and all kinds of volunteers. 200 volunteers on the race. I mean, just everything had to be done, but we were able to get it done. Mm-hmm. One of the best races that the drivers say that they've ever been involved in was that first race in Baltimore.
That was such a huge time. And that talks about, when he even describes it now, the degree of hustle. There's so many components to entrepreneurship. And he just talked about one of the biggest ones, which is the vision that you have to have and then the work that goes behind it. Because I think a lot of entrepreneurs undervalue the type of work it takes to become so successful. When he was so passionate about that race, it didn't feel like work. It felt like he was winning every single moment. Every single moment. He would call me. He couldn't even say on the phone with me, but the passion came through. The determination came through. There was no option. Those cars were going to go around that city. And he was going to make it happen. Right. And so it was exciting to watch. Again, he created the room. Sometimes you walk in the room, sometimes you're the one that creates the room. And so for that race, to come in there and to take something over from someone else, and everybody was aligned with the other person. So, there's a lot of dynamics that you had to pull together to make that off. And it became such a successful venture for you and such a cornerstone in what you were doing here in the city, here for the state, here in the political realm. It was a masterpiece, and I loved watching you do that.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
So here we are at the end of the show, and we're going to do the word of the day. The word of the day for this particular segment is adventure. And so we're going to talk about that. What do you tell me about adventure?
Oh, my God. When I first started thinking about this word, I said, one of the things that you are for sure, and we have become, is adventuresome. And so I think that the word adventure will ignite some dreams and some hopes in some people's eyes because it's daring. It's different. It's risk-taking. It's fun. What is it for you?
Well, it's the same. But I got to tell a story. When we first met, I talked about this before, a place called Wet and Wild. And I do love adventure. I'm the guy to get on any ride at the amusement park, right? I don't care if it goes straight. I love all of that stuff. But I wanted to know if my potential, girlfriend was going to be adventurous. And so we were at this amusement park, and it was super crowded, super beautiful day, but super crowded. And it was the wait to get on these rides for 20 minutes, 30 minutes, the long lines to get on these rides, except for one ride. Except for this one day, it was a sliding board. It was 150 feet in the air, and you're going around this tower, keep on going up and up. And this thing just shot straight down. It was basically a sliding board with these little sides on it. And can you imagine, you're as high as a 12-story building, whatever, and you're looking down, and here is, this thing, and they shoot water down it. And so when you take off, it's like, boom, you just fly down this thing. There's nobody wanted to do this ride. So I said, hey, let's do this one. She said, okay. And so we climb up. It takes minutes to get up there, right?
Oh my God.
We climb up.
So many steps.
And we get to the top, we're on the platform, and I said, all right, go ahead. And without hesitation, she jumped on that sliding board and shot down that thing. I was like, yes, yes, that's the girl I want in my life, And so I got on there and I shot down that thing, I mean, everything.
I'm still not marrying you.
Right. I'm not doing that. But I also see that, since then, we have been skydiving together. So we've jumped out of a plane together. And we've jumped off of boats and bridges together. In fact, we just did when we were in Martha's Vineyard.
We did.
We jumped off a bridge. I think anyway, we jumped. We held him. We stood on top of this bridge, and we got on top of the rail on the top of the bridge, and we took off and jumped into the waters off of Martha's Vineyard and swam back to shore. So I mean, we will do the adventurous thing, and I think traveling is adventurous. Going to places where you don't speak the language. You can't read the
symbols.
You can't read the symbol, the letters, and you don't know.
Everywhere.
And very few people speak English. Yeah. So, but we're going. We're going to be in Seoul, Korea, in a few days, basically in a week or so, and we're going to just be there, and it's going to be an adventure. It's got to be an adventure. It can't help but be an adventure, right? You got to navigate your way through this kind of stuff, and you figure out who you are, where you're going, what you're going to eat. Can you imagine?
How you can handle it? How about that? How do you handle it? Because
how do you handle it? Right.
You can handle adventure.
I've
said to him a zillion times, if anything happens in the world, the one person I want to be next to is you, because you can handle an adventure.
Right.
Or tragedy.
Right.
Or catastrophe.
Unfortunately, right.
But you can handle it.
And so that's going to happen when we get to those restaurants and we look at the menu. We won't know anything about what's on the menu. We look at it and say, what do you want? That. want that. And we would just be praying that is something we can eat, They bring something in.
Don't. Because he'll look at him like, it's an adventure. It's an adventure for you.
Right. So adventure is going into the unknown. Mm-hmm. It's finding a space where it's not convention. It's outside of your conventional world. It's outside of something that you normally do.
Right.
And I think that adventure is part of, that's where life begins. Mm-hmm. When you leave convention behind and you leave behind all that's normal and all that we do on a regular basis, on a routine basis, adventure is outside of that. And so I like to live on the outside of that space as much as possible. I want to live in the unknown as much as possible. I don't want to know what's going to happen every day. I don't want to live a life where at 6 o'clock you're here, at 6:30 you're there, at 7 o'clock you're something else, and then you drive to work for 11 and a half minutes and you get there and you do that. I don't want to. I've never lived a life like that. And so I always want to live on the side of adventure, the side of the unknown, the side of when I can look at things and be in awe of a certain thing because I hadn't seen it before.
Yeah. One of the things he says all the time is let's do it. Let's go.
Let's go. Let's just do it. Let's just do it.
Let's do it. So we wish for everybody adventuresome lives. We are so excited to have you on this episode of Banking on the Banks. You're going to follow us on Instagram at the official Ken Banks.
Yep.
At Gloria Banks. Mm-hmm. Right here. Follow us on YouTube, and you're going to be able to hear us on podcasts. Apple Podcasts
and Spotify and any other place where podcasts are shown, we're going to be there.
We want you to like, share, subscribe, because we're so glad that you're with us. And we want you to be banking on the banks.